You know, we've done some videos on home defense guns of various different kinds. In this video, we're going to talk about the king of self-defense tools, the venerable and very dangerous shotgun. So what we have laid out on the table at the moment are some shotguns designed specifically for self-defense. Now, I'm going to show you some in a few minutes that aren't designed specifically for self-defense, but they can be used for that in a pinch. But let's start with the ones that are designed for that first, so if you're shopping, you kind of know what your choices are. With self-defense shotguns, you're going to find that they fall into one of two categories, really. You have pump-action shotguns, or you have semi-automatic shotguns. Now, I've got some here made by Mossberg, but they are made by many other brands, so you're not limited with these. You've also got Remington, Winchester, Benelli, there's just a host of them, and you'd want to shop around and find the one that you like the best, and then do some research regarding their reliability, because any gun you use for home defense obviously has got to go bang 100% of the time. But let's look at the differences real quick so you can see what we've got. So this right here is a semi-automatic home defense shotgun. You can see the barrel is short, and it's got some goodies on it that you could always add to a home defense shotgun. It's got this little device back here. What this does is allow you to add some additional shotgun shells to sit on there. Now, we've got it completely unloaded and we have no ammunition near it for safety purposes during the video. But if you had it at home, you might load the magazine, which is this long tube, you can see it here, and it loads underneath. So you would push the, I'd have to close the action, but you can go past the loading gate and put the shotgun shells up in here, and that fills up this tube so that once you've racked the action and loaded one into the chamber, every time you press the trigger, the gun's going to go bang until it runs out of ammunition, and then the action will lock open like it just did there. And that's when you're going to know that it's empty and you can load it again. We'll have some videos later on in the future that show you some training and tactical ways to use a home defense semi-automatic shotgun like this. But as I said, this is a semi-automatic, so this gun will go bang every time you press the trigger until it runs empty. You don't have to do anything else except aim it and press the trigger. Now, there are some issues with semi-automatic shotguns. They can be a little ammo sensitive because the ammunition has to be powerful enough in order to get the action to run. Some will run just about anything. Some will run more powerful ammunition, but not maybe the weaker variety. And you're going to want to know that when you buy the gun. And you wonder why that's important. Well, if you're shooting inside your house, you might want to be mindful of the power of the ammunition, because you don't want to shoot through two walls and hurt somebody on the other side of walls that you don't intend to shoot at. So if you miss, now you got to worry about how much penetration do you have. And so when people talk about over penetration, that's what they're referring to, is am I going through objects and hurting somebody or killing somebody on the other side that I don't mean to hurt. If you live and you've got, like I do, where you've got, wife and kids or family, you got to be mindful of that. But a home defense shotgun is going to be built somewhat like this. It'll be a little light, probably won't be very pretty. They're not. They're very functional. The barrel will be short. It might have an extended magazine tube like this one does, so it holds more ammunition. It might have actual rifle sights, like this one's got a ghost ring sight on the back and a rifle sight on the front. And one of the most important things would be a sling, but even more important is a light. Because let's face it, these things happen at night, in the middle of the night, when you hear something go bump in the night, you're standing there in your boxer shorts, your nightgown or whatever, and you can't see what you're doing. So you want to be able to light up the person that is the threat to make sure that you're not shooting at somebody you don't want to, and to make sure that you identified your target before you take the gun off safe and you press the trigger. So there you are. There's the semi-automatic version. This one happens to be a Mossberg 930. It's a really good gun, but again, Remington, Benelli, and so on, they all make them, and you'll find that you shop around, you'll find the one that you really, really like. All right, pump action shotguns are a little different. This is a pump action shotgun. This also just happens to be a Mossberg. It has a little different set of accessories on it. You can see it has a different type of sling, and you saw me shooting it, so you can see it hanging around me. But you also see that the little extra shell carrier is on the side of the action rather than back here on the stock. And then it's got a weapons light. It's got a light up here so you can light up things at night, so that's very similar. And you can see there's been some alterations to the stock to fit the person who owns the gun, because sometimes you want to adjust the stock to fit a specific person. But this gun will not go bang every time you press the trigger unless you do something. You have to rack it. And if you've watched enough TV, movie, cop shows, you've seen this happen a few times. And you've heard the old wives' tale that if I have a shotgun, I rack it, everybody's going to run screaming into the night, and the bad guys are terrified of that. Well, that's a bit of a myth. I wouldn't count on that. You want to make sure that you have some actual business in the gun in the form of shotgun shells, and you have some training, because all this just told them is that you have a gun, and if they are people who are intent upon doing whatever they're doing and they're not afraid, you got professional criminals, they're probably not going to be frightened away by that, so don't count on that. These guns are not ammo sensitive because it depends upon you to make the gun work. You have to physically rack it each time to load a shell. When you shoot, expend the old one, rack it forward, load a new one, shoot again. Other than that, the guns are very similar. This has a tubular magazine right here, and it loads under here. There's no loading gate on this one. You just push the rounds into the tube, and when they go in the tube, if you rack it back, it drops one in there, and you rack it forward, it loads one again. The only difference is that you have to rack it rather than the gun going off by itself each time. Now, as far as ammo sensitivity is concerned, these guns are not ammo sensitive at all, because it's you that is working the action to load and reload the gun. It's not dependent upon the pressure of the ammunition. The other thing is that, in my experience, while the semi-automatic shotguns are extremely reliable, the pump shotguns are uber reliable because it depends strictly on you. However, there is one issue with them. If you short stroke it, and you don't pull it all the way back, sometimes it won't expend the shell all the way, and now you've got a jam. So you want to take it and practice with it a lot. Again, this is a Mossberg. It's one of many varieties. We're going to have videos looking specifically at the different models coming up in the future. But just to show you the comparison between a pump shotgun and a semi-automatic, we just happened to get our hands on this one. Remington 870, another great shotgun. The Mossberg 500, 590, great shotguns. Benelli makes the Benelli Nova and others, great shotguns. Winchester and so on. You really can't go wrong with a quality, well-made pump action shotgun for home defense. Short barrel, weapons light, those are really the only accessories you need. If you want to put a sling on it, fine. Sometimes for pure home defense, that kind of gets in your way. If you want to hold some extra shells on it, fine. You can put all those goodies on it, and they really don't cost you very much. So there you are. There's the basic two varieties of home defense shotgun: the pump and the semi-automatic. Now, you got to go out and buy them, and you might not have the money, or you might not want to, or whatever the case might be. Or you might want to buy one and say, well, I might want to do some hunting with it. Okay, well then you're not going to want to buy a dedicated self-defense gun. You're going to want to buy one where the barrel swaps out, like this one, the Mossberg 500 or some variety of that, where you can get a short barrel for home defense and a long barrel to hunt with. Okay, so you'd want to shop with that. This particular gun comes with two barrels, or it did when we got it anyway, and you can hunt with it. I've hunted a lot with this particular gun, or you can shorten the barrel, put a short barrel on it, use it for home defense. Now, if you don't have any money, and boy, I understand that, I've been there a lot, and you don't want to go buy another gun, you may have a shotgun at home, or you might have something that was left to you as an heirloom. I wonder if you could use that. Well, in just a second, we're going to change these out and show you a number of shotguns that aren't really designed for home defense, but you know what? You can use them for that if you need to. So what we've lined up here for you now are some shotguns that maybe you inherited them, or you happen to buy it for another purpose, or whatever the case might be. However you got it, it's probably a really good shotgun, but not designed specifically for self-defense. But you certainly could use them for that in a pinch, and you might be able to alter them a little bit if you wanted to accomplish that goal. So let's start at the one closest to me. This is the simplest, and this is the single shot break open shotgun. You only have one shot, and that's it. Now, my personal experience, when the first shot goes off, everybody goes running. Sort of like the rats when the lights go on. They all in the room, they all run away. So it probably would get the job done, and if anybody's on the business end of it when it goes off, it's certainly going to settle matters with that individual for sure. These come in different calibers or different chambers. This is a 410. You might find them in a 20 gauge, a little bigger, or 12 gauge, a little bigger, and they're relatively inexpensive. You can generally find them just about anywhere. But you're looking for, if you happen to have one of these, is it perfect for self-defense? No, because you only have one shot. But you know, which gun's the best one to fight with? Well, the one you happen to have with you at the time. And any gun is better than no gun. So if this is what you have and you can't afford something else, I encourage you, take it to the range. practice with it. If you live out in the country, go out in the backyard. Learn to hit moving targets with it. Go practice some trap shooting or skeet shooting. Because if you can hit a moving trap clay going 40 miles an hour, rip it across the sky, then you can certainly hit a bad guy running across your living room. I mean, that's pretty simple. So, is it perfect? No. Can you use it? Yes. Would I strongly advise you save up some money and buy a better home defense gun? Yeah, you probably should. But in the meantime, use what you have, train with what you have, and you can make it work. All right, along those same lines, if you've watched enough old westerns, you've seen the classic double barrel shotgun. And these come in two varieties, the side-by-side, and that's what this is called, because the barrels are next to each other side by side, or the over-under, where the barrels, one barrel's on the top and one's on the bottom. And they break open like this, and you've got basically two shots. So you've just doubled your capacity over the shotgun I showed you a minute ago. Now this gun is obviously for hunting. It's got a long barrel for that particular purpose, and so it'll swing very nice and be very comfortable to hunt with. Is it going to be perfect for home defense? No, but at the same time, I suspect back in the old days, many a bad guy was done in by something very similar to this. So can it be used for that? Yes, but recognize that again, it's very long, so going around corners or trying to be in tight spaces is going to be very tough with a long shotgun like this. So if this is what you have, you can either modify it by taking it to a good gunsmith and have them shorten the barrel on it if that's what you wish to do, or you can save some money and buy a shotgun designed specifically for self-defense. Now, if you happen to have inherited one of these, before you have a gunsmith do any work to it, it might be a fine and very expensive shotgun. I would take it to an appraiser and find out what the gun is worth, or look it up on the web, kind of get an idea before you have anybody do any modifications to it. But there's a double barrel shotgun, again, in two different varieties, the side-by-side or the over-under, and they're very common. Now this is an old Browning B80. They don't make these anymore, but these are oftentimes inherited, these old shotguns. A semi-automatic hunting shotgun, again, very long barrel, and a tubular magazine that's inside the wooden stock. This gun is extremely reliable, but it's a little ammo sensitive. It doesn't like to shoot low power loads, but if you put high power loads like duck loads in it, or buckshot or something you'd be defending yourself with, this gun cycles them very reliably, and is very strong action. It's very heavy, it's all steel, and it just runs like a Swiss watch. It really does. So if you had one of these and that's what you inherited, what you might want to do is make it a self-defense shotgun. It only holds 3 rounds because it has a plug in it, because when you're hunting you can only have 3 rounds in the gun, 1 in the chamber and 2 in the magazine. But if you take the plug out, it holds 5 in here and 1 in here, so you got a total of 6. So you could do that. That would give you more ammunition. You could also hunt around on the web, see if you could find a second replacement barrel for it, and you could take that to a reliable gunsmith, and they could shorten that down to a legal short barrel, and now you've got, a really good self-defense semi-automatic shotgun. And you inherited it, you just made some modifications, probably didn't cost you a whole heck of a lot. Now you might want to investigate too buying a new one, because by the time you do that much work, you may have put more money in the old shotgun than it would cost you to buy a brand new one designed specifically for self-defense. Now, if you don't do any of those things, can you still use it for self-defense? Absolutely. But remember, you've got a limited amount of ammunition that it holds. You've now gone from 1 shot to 2 shots and now 3, but you still have the long barrel, and around tight corners is going to be pretty tough. Now what I've got here is a little newer shotgun. This is a 20 gauge Remington 1187, the 1100, very similar, same action. And they come in different gauges. This is a little smaller, 20 gauge, but I wouldn't want to be on the business end of it. I don't think anybody else with any sense would either. But this one again has a long barrel, and it has a plug in it that's removable. You don't have to do any work to do it. You can just take the plug out, and now it'll hold more ammunition. You put the plug back in, if you're going to hunt, it'll only hold 3. If you take the plug out, it holds 5 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber, so you've got a total of 6 again. And again, if you wanted to, you could buy a second barrel and have a gunsmith shorten that for you, and you'd end up with a nice little light 20 gauge self-defense gun that could also be used for hunting. So bottom line is, sometimes we have guns, inherit guns, or given guns, or maybe we bought them for hunting or other purposes that aren't ideal for home defense, but with some small modifications and inexpensive modifications, they certainly would get the job done. And maybe without any modifications at all, in a pinch, any gun is better than no gun at all. And when that any gun is a shotgun, nobody wants to be on the business end of that. What happens to this one? Nothing left. For the 2-liter. Oh my goodness! Shotgun works! Thanks for watching this episode on home defense shotguns. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to visit the great P2K range out here in El Cajon, California in San Diego County. It's a terrific range. Oh, and like, subscribe, share us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and make sure you check out our previous videos and look for future ones. They're coming up.